as predicted yesterday by me on the Grandy and Andy postgame show, Sarah Palin hit it out of the park.
No, you did not predict that.
I
You
did
thought
too.
she'd get on base.
No,
You
I
did
said
not.
all she had to do was get on base. I said yesterday during the postgame show I thought she would do great. Look
Well,
what she did.
I think here's what we mean by great. There are great speeches. I would put the Sarah Palin speech last night just a notch or two above the Gettysburg Address.
Really.
And maybe some of the great speeches of Cicero, and certainly all of the writing of Shakespeare, pale to Palin. That's how good that was. However, you know, what's interesting is that the criticism this morning is she didn't write it herself.
Yeah, right.
I was watching Paul Begala, who, not surprisingly, said, well, it was a good speech until she started to go bitter, something Democrats never do. And he said, I can tell because, of course, I've been in this business, the parts she wrote herself and the parts that were written by Bush's speechwriters, and this was the condemning phrase. Of course, all of that was written before she even was the nominee.
Yeah.
All right, so this was all boilerplate stuff, which they just pulled off the rack, and she read commendably. But that's not enough.
She's a good reader.
To be Vice President of the United States. Yeah, she's a good reader. She should be the story lady at the Wasilla Library, right? I must say that I think, although they will not betray this, Democrats are damn worried right now.
I
because
agree.
she looks like she's real people. And the two guys on the Democratic ticket do a pretty good job of faking that. But it's like George Bush used, not George Bush, I mean George Burns, George Bush. Who's comparing? George Burns said the most important aspect of show business is sincerity. If you can fake that, everything else comes easy. Last night, she came across pretty authentic. These other guys, John McCain to some degree even included, are master fakers. And I think you get that the longer you stay in the business,
By the way,
particularly in the U.S. Senate.
Is that the best looking family in America?
Pretty doggone good. And
I mean,
they haven't lost anything by adding Levi Johnson.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, if this kid doesn't look like he belongs on 90210, I don't know what does. I mean, there is a series on the CW with his name on it right now.
The shot of little Piper holding her brother Trig, the Down syndrome baby, as her mom is giving a speech and licking. She goes like this. She licks her hand and pats down his hair so it doesn't stick out.
I think
it's priceless.
I think a well-placed Democratic strategy will say that's stock footage that comes out of a Republican playbook.
They faked
that's
that.
not really
they
her daughter.
They told her to do that.
That's right. It's not really true, and you can probably find that on their reel. Okay, so now John McCain tonight, does he have to be better than she? No. I think to some degree it's almost good that she upstaged him, because she does represent a fresh face to the Republican Party, which you get if you vote for him. And I think she also made a very compelling case for what he's trying to make as the centerpiece of his campaign, which is reform. You want to see what reform looks like? Looks like me, but it really looks like her. And I think, you know, based on the calls we got today from people that have not called in before and haven't sounded like they're particularly politically active, I think she will reach beyond the normal parameters of the Republican Party, which, as we know, are getting smaller and smaller.
Count how many times you hear John McCain is 72 years old and has had cancer 4 times.
Oh, yeah.
How many times you hear that, Tim?
Yeah, I've already heard that this morning.
72 years old, cancer 4 times. Her resume is too thin.
Yeah,
You'll hear that 1,000 times a day from the Democrats.
Because everybody knows to be a good vice president, a thick resume is important. The thicker, the better. As opposed to Joe Biden's hair.
See ya.
Yay!